From an Air Force sergeant with the Glenn Miller Band to the Broadway stage to television to Columbia Records comes this gentleman and our special guest this afternoon, Johnny Desmond.
Hiya, Bob.
Hiya, Johnny. Great to have you in
Miami. Nicest
Miami.
Introduction I've had all day.
Listen, you can't put it into one sentence. You know, you've done so many things ever since the Miller thing was the first big singing job you had, wasn't it?
I think that was the turning point, as you might say. If you looked at something, Bob, you say, what was the turning point in your career? I guess I'd have to say that my joining the Glenn Miller Air Force Orchestra and becoming the singer for that outfit at Yale University in the year, now let me get this right, I think about 1943 was the real turning point in my career, because I got a chance to sing some great music with the greatest band leader of them all.
The king, he was that indeed. A few things we have left out is your association with the Hit Parade, the Don McNeil Show in Chicago, and probably 20 other things that slip my mind right now.
Well, I think you said the most important things, Bob. That was the fact that from the Broadway stage, which is a thing that about 4 years ago I started to set my sights for, because I figured that a singer that was just going to sing and depend on getting lucky with a hit record every once in a while, when you can do so infrequently, is going to be in a lot of trouble. So
it really doesn't mean that much, does it,
No,
Johnny?
it really doesn't. I figured I've been preparing this career of mine for about 20 years, and if I had to depend on making a hit record to be able to do the kind of work that I wanted to do, then I figured I was in a lot of trouble. So I kind of turned to acting, and I've had very good luck in that direction.
Both on television and the stage. And you're doing the Say Darling thing again this summer out on the West Coast, I understand.
Yes, Bob. I did Say Darling on Broadway with David Wayne and Vivian Blaine, and this coming August the 10th, I open in Los Angeles, California, for 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks in San Francisco with a very dear friend of yours.
Indeed, Lisa Kirk, and that should be a beautiful combination between you and Lisa.
She's a wonderful gal, and I've known Lisa for a long time, but I've never had the pleasure of working with her. So this
you will enjoy.
In this medium, which is kind of a fantastic thing for any one of us to get into. There's nothing quite as gratifying, I guess, as being on the stage in a play that kind of says some good things. You know, it gives you a chance to really express yourself, and working with nice people is always a pleasure in that direction too. But I think maybe Lisa would probably be as good as Vivian Blaine was in Say Darling, and it'll be
I'm sure she will. She's a truly great talent, Johnny. Johnny Desmond with us this afternoon. Johnny, how long did you spend with the Hit Parade?
Well, we were on the air for 29 or 30 weeks, I guess, out of New York, Bob, and it was quite a wonderful experience, you know, because we had to sing the songs that were on the top 10, top 7 we used to pick.
Must have been a challenge every week.
It was a challenge, because we're not, I should say I'm not, and I'm sure that Dorothy Collins is not, really equipped to do the kind of songs that are in the top areas these weeks, you know, and do them the way the kids that follow this kind of music would particularly want them done. So we had to give them a kind of a personality twist, or you might say kind of do these same songs so that they wouldn't offend either the teenagers or the adults, and we managed to do that very well with kind of a sense of humor, or tongue-in-cheek, so to speak.
Johnny, did you do most of your stuff live on the air as it was being broadcast, or did you use pre-recorded sound on any of the numbers?
Bob, only time we'd use pre-recorded sound. Most everything was done live on the Hit Parade. The only reason we ever did pre-recorded sound is if they wanted to shoot a scene with a wide scope, you know, from far back, and they couldn't get a microphone anywhere near without exposing it. So under those conditions, they would always pre-record, as does practically every important television show in the country, when they want to really expand and push back the sets and everything, and really shoot it from as far back as they can.
Have to do it.
But otherwise, the only reason we would pre-record then, if it wasn't for that reason, is because of studio space, and they'd have to strike a set and set another one in its place so that they could have that area to work with.
Johnny records for Columbia Records and is closely associated with one of the great musical geniuses of America today, the bearded Mr. Mitchell Miller.
Bearded Wonder, we call him in our
He is a wonder,
backyard.
Wonder indeed. So what are you and Mitch cooking up for the public album-wise for Columbia, Johnny?
Well, we've waited for a long time. I've been with Columbia now about 6 or 7 months, Bob, and I've had an idea, and I've had the music, so I waited for the right time to project this idea, and I walked into Mitch's office a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Mitch, how would you like to do an original sounding Glenn Miller album. I say original because I've got some original scores which were written for me in the Army, and I'd like to duplicate these songs, which are great standards, like I'll Walk Alone, I'll Be Seeing You, Sweet Lorraine, Where or When, My Heart Stood Still, Night and Day song, and Symphony.
Fantastic. Now these are the original. We're going to get the Millers confused here. These are the original scores.
Original
that you did
Glenn
with
Miller.
Glenn Miller.
Army scores were written for me to sing when we were overseas in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And Norm Layden wrote these scores. He was a member of the Air Force Orchestra with myself, and I happen to have these scores in my possession. And Mitch flipped over the idea, and we got a hold of Norm Layden, who originally wrote these things about 15 years ago when we were both in the Army. And Norm just had to edit very little in these scores, and they're done exactly as they were
12 tunes?
12 tunes, and 36 gentlemen. And
it's funny that you should take the original scores from Glenn Miller and today be doing them with Mitch Miller, who is his father, you know. Actually,
behind that beard, there are many things going on.
You know, if he ever shaves the beard, no telling who it's going to be. Right? Listen, I know that Mitch Miller himself is a big favorite performer of yours too, Johnny.
I want to tell you, Bob, I've worked about 4 or 5 different record companies, and with maybe 10 different A&R men in my time with all these companies in the past 10 years, and not just saying it because he happens to be the boss over at Columbia, but of all the gentlemen that I've worked for in the A&R department, Mitch is the only guy that's really been an inspiration and a help. He really gives an artist quite a pickup and quite a lift, and quite an inspiration when you're working, because he makes you feel that every take you make is a hit. He gives it this way. He says, "Great, marvelous." He says, "Now let's do one more." You know, he brings you way up, and then he says, "Let's do another one." But it's the kind of fooling you like to get when you're doing something creative, you know. And he's just great.